Hey, what's going on, guys? Today, I wanted to talk about something that's been going around LinkedIn and other mediums I'm on. And as a person who's been in my specific industry, which is the mental performance field, for 15 plus years now, I've seen a lot, done a lot. And a topic that I see get thrown around all the time that I have a strong opinion on is one, working for free. And I guess under that umbrella would be internships. Now, that could be two different things, right? Working for free is, say, doing a speaking engagement for a nonprofit. Cool. Or it could be doing a trial session to get a potential client. That's also cool. Or it could be an internship where you do X amount of months working for a company or individual and getting experience, building relationships. All those are great, but there's a stigma. And I don't want to sound like the old man now that I'm pushing 40. I'm 37 at the time of this recording. And I have different constituents under me that range between young as 20 and as old as probably 40. But a lot of them probably under 30 for that matter. So I'm kind of in that field of I'm older, but old enough to be a decade plus over them, but young enough to see that I was in this place not too long ago. And the reason I like to talk about this is because my opinion, like I said, I have a strong opinion, is you should work for free, but not in the way that people always frame it. It's always framed in a sense of I should just give my time endlessly to whoever, whatever. No, there should be nuance to this, should be discretion. You should see it as an equal exchange. I used an analogy before of the Super Bowl, right? The halftime show at the Super Bowl, no one gets paid for that. People be like, what? That's crazy. But no, you're getting hundreds of millions of viewers coming to you. And even if not all 100 million care to watch or care about what you're doing, even if it was just 10%, that's 10 million. If it's 1%, that's 1 million. You're getting a lot of eyes. And anyone who understands business the right way, understand the best thing you can get is marketing, especially when it's free, right? So you could say, oh, I should be paid for my time performing. Sure. But if the opportunity outweighs that, it's okay. Like, I'll use an example. I worked with one of the top UFC fighters in the world. I was there along their journey for most of their later half of their career where they're really coming to prominence. They've won championships. They had a legendary career. But I never asked to be paid because I saw an opportunity because I knew I had to prove something. Now, people might be wondering who this is. I'll be honest, I've never talked about this. I've done many podcasts talking about working with this individual, but I never talked about this. It's Dustin Poirier, one of the best UFC fighters of all time. And it's not that, oh, they were taking advantage of me or I'm just dumb. No, it was an equal exchange because first and foremost, fighters are contractors. They don't have a salary like, say, an NFL player or NBA player, so they never know when their next check is coming. Now, regardless of how higher up they are in the UFC or whatever, the point was I saw the value of this is something new and different, first and foremost. So I had to understand that. And my time I felt was valuable, but at the same time, I knew what was coming from it. I've been on ESPN dozens of times, too many to count. I've been on Fox Sports. I've been mentioned on different things like Joe Rogan. I've worked with some of the best performers in the world because of this opportunity. I got calls from the US military about working because of this, and I've made a decent amount of money doing it. And that all came from the opportunity, but it's not to say just frivolously do things for free. There was a bigger picture there and there was bigger incentive. That's what you need to look at because one of the weirdest things I notice is when people say they don't work for free, in actuality, you're always working for free every damn day. It's just subtle, right? Let's use one example. How many of you right now watching this are wearing Nike, wearing Adidas, Jordans, or any brand? You have an iPhone, you have something that represents another company, another brand that either you're doing just because it's what your clothes are, or you paid for it, obviously, for the item. So you paid. It's not even free. You paid to do it, right? Think about this. People will mince over doing free work as an intern or whatever it may be, but they'll spend 4 or 5 hours watching Netflix. Think about that. 5 hours of your free time was spent watching shows. Now, I'm not saying don't watch shows. I watch TV or internet movies, whatever. But you're paying $15, $20, $30 a month for that. And it's things that's not pushing your bigger picture, your goal. Is that not backwards? But then you would argue over, oh, I won't do a free trial. That's insane. I've had people tell me they will never do a free trial session to potentially get a client because they know their worth. Now, if you paid your dues and you feel like that's beneath you, that's fine because there is certain levels, right? I'm at a level where I can start doing that. But in actuality, I don't mind it because I see the bigger picture. I've done things. Matter of fact, my largest contract that we've gotten came from years of doing little to no pay to more pay to bigger opportunities until it became a contract where it took months to iron out the details of months of meetings that weren't paid meetings, writing proposals, weren't paid to write the proposals. But when it got solidified in that few months' time, not to get into the numbers, the contract was large enough to be someone's salary for like the average salary for like quite a few years. For 1 year, though, if you get what I'm saying. So it made sense, but people don't look at it that way because they look at time as this one-to-one of 1 hour of my time equals X amount of pay. So let's say $25, right? Most people make between $15 and $25 an hour, right? If you look at the average median and median salary. Is that something to write home about? No, but is it livable to some degree? For some places, sure. Now, it goes higher in different places, but it scales, right, to the point where it's the average median salary. So they see that as their value. And that's where you got to be, maybe not so much, especially if you're trying to move up in your industry, right? Because if that's where you're trying to be at, that's fine. I never knock anyone's ambitions or goals. If that's where you want to be at, be there. But a lot of people talk as if they want more. So this is who this is for. So to move forward, you can't look at it as a one-to-one, oh, this much time, this much hours, as opposed to this much time to this much outcomes. Keyword outcomes. So if the outcome is just to get $25 for an hour of your time, that's great. Do that. But if you want to make, say, let's say 6 figures, I asked this guy one time, the former associate of mine, we're no longer associated because he had much different views. He wasn't really built for this. But I asked him a question. I said, how much would you want to make? Like just a goal. And as most people, oh, 6 figures. So I'm like, sure, okay. Do you know what it takes to get 6 figures? Now, most people would say, I need to work a job that pays 6 figures, but it's much more nuanced than that because a budget comes from what the value that is allotted to that said position, right? If you're a head of marketing for a major corporation, you're probably going to get paid in the 120, 150,000 range. Great. But if you're like, say, a teacher, you're not getting probably past 50, 60,000, depending where you live and depending what type of school it is. So with that being said, you got to look at it as, what am I really doing here? Now, the real answer to that question should have been, what systems or what things do I need to put in place to generate revenue for me to get 6 figures? Because if it's just a job, there's only one way to get that: someone hiring you. But if you build the systems or build the products or build the tools, then you can dictate it. Now, that's not saying it's easier. It's actually harder to do that, but you have more reign of how it can be done. You know what I mean? So it's like one way to catch a fish. I'll give you dozens of ways to catch a fish. It's just these dozens take a lot more work, skill, and time. So using that analogy with Mind Body One, we have regular one-to-one sessions that our coaches work with athletes doing mental consulting, performance training. And that's a price tier that definitely brings in revenue. We have tools and apps that can bring in revenue. We have contracts with organizations that brings in bulk of our revenue. We do one-off events where we bring our tools and do stuff for different entities. And then we have things we create freelance for other companies, B2B. So we have different models: direct to consumer, B2C, B2B, business to business. So working for other organizations, and SaaS, which is a software as a service where our tools do something for them and now it can recur. So that's how we do it. And since we're in the mental performance umbrella, we're very uniquely positioned where it can be done in a way where it's niche enough that the people in our market will get something that's specific to them, but it's different enough where we know no one else is really doing this. So bringing it all back full circle to the working for free, though, how did I get there? I built probably 40, 50 different apps and tools, whether it was with another developer or myself, before I really made things happen. And even before that, I made hundreds of different tasks, for pen and paper type tasks to digital tasks. Before then, between let's say 2012 and 2017, and then from 2017 to now, it's been apps and tools. So you're talking about almost 14 years of doing this. And a lot of that wasn't paid. I had to learn under people. That was time. I took internships well into my early 30s. I published research papers, internship. I actually had to pay to do that. I was a direct independent study that I had to pay for. So I had to pay to be a student at the school to intern. So I did what y'all do for Netflix. I did it for bettering my abilities and career. Now, another way to look at it is, I always use this example, is vacations, right? Not in the sense of you shouldn't take a vacation, but more so in the sense that you would say, let's use this. This is where I differ from most other people, and I've been fortunate enough to get in the doors I've gotten into. And this is not saying you need to do what I do. I never advocate for that because I know what I do is not what everyone else would choose, and it takes a lot more work and a lot of delayed gratification. But follow me on this one. I'm willing to spend 2 to 3, maybe even 4 months of no to low paid work because it's going to bring an outcome or outcomes that lead to a bigger picture. While most of you will spend a week or two, pay $2,000 to $3,000 to go on a vacation, have a great time, great, but come back and be $3,000 broker and then have to build up to get back on track. Even if you have savings, that's great. That way you can do it the right way, but a lot of people don't. Let's be real. But now you've lost time, 1 to 2 weeks, you lost money. I'll do 2 to 3 months. And let's say that 2 to 3 months brings me $50,000. So that 2 3 months is above the average salary. I'm just using arbitrary numbers right now. Don't think that's it. Might be less, might be more. Who knows? But basically, those 2 3 months bring in above what the median salary would be. But you spend a seventh or eighth of that median salary to go on a vacation where you lose 2 weeks of work. Make time for yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But when we argue about this working for free, we got to really look into it. Another example, I use this all the time. Spotify Wrapped was a month or so ago through the end of the year. This is February now. And people were sharing all their rap. Oh, I listen to this many minutes a day, this many hours. I was the top percentile of this artist. Oh, my listening age is 35. I'm only 19. Whatever. Great. But know what I saw in my eyes? You are doing free advertising for Spotify. I've used Spotify for a decade now. It's great. I think it's one of the best ones out of the different platforms. And I'm a music guy. So I didn't share mine. I don't think I've ever, maybe a few years back, but now that I'm more business savvy, I don't because you just worked for free. You don't want to admit that, but you just worked for free. You gave Spotify hundreds of millions of free promo. People argue. It's not that you don't want to work for free. You only want to work for free for billionaires. And it's hilarious because people always argue, oh, the billionaires company do this and that. Y'all work for them more than the people who work for them who get paid. And the irony is you get mad at them, but you're part of the same system that you're probably having a problem with. So in actuality, you always work for free. I guess the real answer is, what are you willing to work free for? And how does that free work benefit you? Because you guys are willing to put money into Jeff Bezos' pocket, Mark Zuckerberg's pocket, Elon Musk's pocket. You're willing to do that, right? You'll make them all the money without even realizing consumer culture is a thing. But when it comes to doing a few things, this doesn't have to be a lot. Like with our mentorship program, we proposition it as 5 to 10 hours a week of your time. It's asynchronous work. Mostly we have meetings here and there. It's not even a lot of meetings. So you're talking about not a lot of work because 5 to 10 hours of your life is going to be spent doing something frivolous. We're going to give you access to Mind, Body, One resource that no one else in the world has. You're going to get mentorship from people like myself and other individuals on this team that have experience that you will get nowhere else. That's the exchange. Working for free does not mean just do stuff because someone wants you to do it and help their company. Yes, that's backwards. Don't do that. But if it makes sense, there's something to be a gain. Like I said, an equal exchange, that's where it matters. So that's my sense on working for free. What do you guys think though? Because when it comes to it, for me, I think you should just do it for the right reasons, especially if it betters your connections. Because if you make the right connection, they can put you in the door. I had interns where they did 4 or 5 months with us. They had an opportunity to maybe stay, and they did. Or they went to a job and they asked for a recommendation. They hit me up. Oh, we see they did X, Y, and Z with your company. That's amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. And boom, they get the job. I have a former intern who's probably making 60, 70K right now, fresh out of their bachelor's. They did 5 months with us. They worked with one of our large contracts. Great experience for them. I taught them, they learned, and they got an opportunity. So yeah, like Drake said, for free, but not for everything though. Get your mind right.